Long ago, before the first iron bell called the elders to prayer, and before the kola nut knew the lines of human palms, there was a village called Obyo Inshi, nestled between hills thick with talking bamboo and the great Inshi River, whose waters glowed blue beneath the full moon. The people of Obyo Inshi lived in harmony with the land and revered the river, for they believed it was a sacred passage between the world of the living and that of the ancestors. Every morning, maidens fetched water with songs, and at dusk, children played along its edge under the watchful eyes of old spirits that dwelled in the water's depths. The Inshi River was not just a source of water, it was a giver of life and secrets. And every generation, it gave the village a gift, children born during the rainiest season under the boom of thunder and flashes of lightning. These were the Umu Mamiri, the water children. They were marked by silence at birth and eyes that reflected the river's glow. They could summon breeze with breath, stir puddles with their mood, and some claimed they even knew the language of turtles and frogs. The birth of water children was a sign that the ancestors had not turned their backs. But the water children were never many, usually only one or two each generation. That is why, when a season came where 7 water children were born in one moon cycle, the entire village bowed in awe. Their names were Amarachi, Lotana, Kosisochukwu, Ikena, Naoma, Tobena, and Adaugo. The midwives said they came silently, even as the sky roared, and they all opened their eyes within the first minute. Their mothers all dreamed of women with fishtails and skin like wet clay who placed glowing shells on their bellies. As the 7 children grew, they became known as Ndi Mamiri Asa, the 7 of the water. Strange things happened in their presence. Where Amarachi walked, flowers bloomed from damp soil. Ikena could summon fish with a hum. Adaugo's touch cured rashes and fevers. Naoma sang lullabies that made crying babies sleep instantly. The elders watched them carefully and decided to train them under the Dibia, the spiritual custodian of the village. But there was one among them, Lotana, whose power was quiet but strong. He often wandered to the river alone, speaking into it as though someone answered. One night his grandmother followed him and heard him whispering to the water, "I know you're watching. I hear you call. Why are you waiting?" She said nothing, only lit a lamp and waited by the shrine the next morning. It was during the season of Harmattan, when the air turned dry and dust coated every surface, that the river began to change. First, it stopped moving. Then the fish vanished. And soon the water itself turned thick and still. The animals stopped drinking from it. Those who bathed in it fell ill. The people wept. Offerings of palm wine, yam, and chalk were made. But the river remained silent. The Dibia declared, "The covenant is broken. The ancestors are no longer listening." The village became afraid. Rumors began to spread that the water children had offended the river, that too many had been born at once, that the gods were angry. One night, the 7 water children gathered under the moon. Lotana said, "The river is not angry. It is waiting for us. I dream of a city beneath it, a palace of light and memory. Someone there calls to me every night." Kosisochukwu nodded. "I dream it too. They say the bridge between the ancestors and the living has cracked." "Then we must go," said Adaugo. "Not for us, for the river, for everyone." They prepared themselves. They covered their bodies in white chalk, tied cowrie shells to their ankles, and wore blue wrappers their mothers wove by hand. Each carried something sacred, a leaf, a feather, a bone, a gourd. At dawn, they walked into the Enshi River. They did not sink. The water bent around them, forming a tunnel of glowing mist. They walked until they stepped into another world, a vast realm under the water, bright with floating masks and rivers of light. At its center stood a palace made of water and coral. Spirits with no mouths and glowing eyes watched them in silence. Then one stepped forward, tall, cloaked in red silk, and holding a staff shaped like a tree branch. "You have come," the spirit said. "We feared your people had forgotten." Forgotten what? Amarachi asked. Their promise. Long ago, your ancestors vowed to remember us, to honor the river, and pass our names from mouth to mouth, from drum to drum. But now, we are silent in their songs. What must we do? Asked Lotana. The spirit raised a calabash filled with silver water. Take this. It holds memory. Pour it where river, tree, and fire meet. Speak our names, and bring back the flame. They took the calabash and left the spirit world, emerging from the river as the sun rose. The village saw them, soaked, glowing, silent.